But for David Wilcock, what is your belief right now after all this you've learned over all these decades? What is your belief of a higher power of God?
There is nothing else. And the universe itself is an awareness that has projected into a material illusion of billions of galaxies, where in turn those stars have planets and those planets have intelligent life. The intelligent life that grows on those planets up until you reach a certain stage appears to think that it's separate from the universe, separate from other beings. And that is an illusion that the universe created for the process of our consciousness evolution. So as we become more conscious and more aware, we ultimately realize there is no separation boundary between our skin and the air around us and the universe and the others that we see.
Hmm.
Once you understand that fundamental principle, then you realize that the law of karma is indeed a universal law, because what we do to others does directly affect ourselves. So then it becomes a very interesting process where you're looking at the world and you realize that everyone around you is asleep and they're unaware of the cause and effect relationship between their thoughts and actions and the things that then come back to them in their own lives.
Right. All right. So brilliant, because we co-create, you believe, based on what you said, you co-create your reality with your thoughts and feelings, but with this higher energetic power or this universal principles, laws that we live in. You know, as Einstein says, God's in the 99.9% empty power space, right?
Well, the biggest damage that we have is that we think God is something separate from us. We think that we've been abandoned by some higher power. This begins in childhood.
Right.
I call it the original wound.
Right.
These tall, big people start saying no, and you don't get exactly what you want, and then you cry and you have a tantrum. That becomes our relationship with God for most people. They feel that they've been left alone, that they don't have a connection, that they don't have safety. They got to fight for this thing on their own. They got to cheat, lie, and steal to get ahead. And people become okay with that. They tell themselves, I'm an adult, I need money. This is what adults have to do to get money.
Right.
When in fact, if you actually begin understanding and harmonizing with the laws of the universe, you'll realize that the good things come to you because you've earned them through how you think about yourself and others and how you treat yourself and others.
Listen, that's exactly. It is bright magical. And here it is, this overall umbrella. I would assume everyone is under these type of universal laws or universal principles or universal whatever it is, this higher energetic power collective, if you will, even the aliens and the many species of aliens. Okay, so let's take it from the next level. So here's this overall energetic, and I think the more we define it, you probably would agree, we probably lose its meaning, whatever it is, right? But we're in it. We're part of it. We're in this flow.
I wouldn't necessarily say we lose meaning. It's just a question of how many hours you have and how technical you want to get.
Right. Well, well, I will say that for some coffee over this weekend, because I do want to hear your perspective on the actual details of that, because I will take that and run with it. But for this argument's sake and our limited time we have today with you, let's we'll leave it as that general. But here it is, and I was explaining a long time ago, and tell me how far off I am. Is here, we have this prime creator, what we just talked about, this whatever that may be, this collectiveness, this whatever. And then we have these, from the prime creator, then we have this, they call it these creator gods, let's say, these energies, entities that we look up as, we call in our religions, we call them angels, right? Many people call them angels or whatever the case may be.
Or demons.
Yeah,
there's both.
Okay.
Yep.
So how do you describe that from your knowledge of you learned in reference to the alien agenda? What's going on? Do you see angels as aliens, good aliens, bad aliens, good angels, bad angels, or do you mix the two? Or are they separate in your perspective?
Well, on the show Ancient Aliens, the network has given us notes that they don't want us to conflate angels and aliens together. So I have to say, on that show, if I'm doing an interview, I have to say aliens.
Okay.
However, I think that's just because they're really trying to get people at the entry level. It does appear from the enormous body of insider testimony that I've gathered that there are predominantly benevolent extraterrestrial humans visiting us. So probably the first domino to fall as you go into this thing is to debunk the mystery of the idea that the aliens, quote unquote, are grays from Zeta Reticuli. Okay. This is a very prevalent belief that still carries through to this day in much of the UFO community, wherein we're looking at the idea of these beings that have black, large eyes, a very large skull, a skinny face, and otherwise, though, they look disturbingly human. But they are associated with terrifying medical procedures, and a lot of people that have come forward as whistleblowers that have PTSD and night terrors as a result of what they believe happened to them with these beings. If you really get deeper into what we actually know to be true from ancient civilizations and their own quote unquote mythologies, which are really written historical records, not to be dismissed as myth, what we find out is that there are all over the world stories of humans that look either exactly like us or very similar to us, who nonetheless did not originate here but arrived here in their advanced technology. And what's interesting is that when they get here, they have an agenda.
Right.
And their agenda is partly to civilize us, to bring us up to a level where we have things like a mill to grind grain so we can make flour and bread. They get us cultivating animals and cultivating crops so that we're not just hunter-gatherers anymore. They get us writing written law. They teach us about architecture. They teach us about how to have running water, how to have plumbing, how to build a septic leach field. These are things you need to have a civilized society.